Hey guys, this is the Apocalypso show. Today it's all me. It's just me.
Whoa. What's going on here? We've been gone for only a few weeks maybe, and you've taken over?
Yeah. I mean, I'm making my big return. I gotta go big. I mean, it's been a while since I've been on this.
Go big or go broke! Apocalypso's back! Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GG Gaming. I am your host and player one, Andrew, and with me today I have my co-host and player two, Apocalypso.
Yeah!
Alpha is a busy boy. He was gonna be on today, and then last minute something was going on and he couldn't make it today, so that's understandable. Which is partly why we haven't had an episode in a while, because everybody's been busy. And it's been difficult because of that. I actually am in the middle of a move, and I am recording now in my new apartment, and it's weird. Moving is always weird, and for me, I'm not a person who adjusts to change easily, so I've been stressed. Meanwhile, there's really no reason to be stressed. That's just me.
I mean, so I've lived in the same house my whole life, so I've never experienced moving.
Mm-hmm. See, I pretty much lived in my parents' house my whole life. When I went to college, I went with the intention of coming back. Then I moved to Florida for work, and I had the intention of coming back after 6 months, which I did. So in my head, it was always temporary, but this is the first time it's like not intended to be temporary. So we'll see how things go. But anyway, what have you been up to since the last time you were on? Anything new going on with you?
A lot actually, but like nothing that is really necessary for this podcast. Nothing really super gaming related, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you a game I played recently, which came out the day before Pokemon Sword and Shield, which was Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition.
I remember you talking about Age of Empires.
Yeah, Papagenos is a fan of it. And,
I think you were talking about this in particular too, right? The Age of Empires Definitive Edition?
Yeah, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Well, it finally came out. I'm not super impressed with it right now because...
Really?
Because... it's very, very intensive.
In what way?
Well, it has Ultra HD graphics, and it's very realistic collapse animations for buildings, and there's many parts to it, and I don't think the computer can handle like a lot of it. So I had the graphics setting as low as it could go, but it still lagged quite a bit when there was a lot of stuff on screen. But I removed that. There was like a million icons on the desktop, most of which were mine. So when I was making videos, so I took those off the desktop and put them in a folder with my stuff in it. So maybe that will help it run better next time I play it. But I actually, all I did was the first thing I was really interested in the collapse animations for the buildings, watching just all the buildings collapse.
Is this on the Switch or on your PC? Because you were talking about your desktop.
It's on the PC.
Oh, I thought it was on the Switch. I remember you talking about it being on the Switch.
No, I don't think I ever said that.
Really? I could have sworn you said it was coming to the Switch or something.
Yeah, you might just be misremembering. But anyway.
Probably.
For some reason, I was just really interested in the collapse animations. I don't know if it's because I'm a pyromaniac or just I like watching things collapse. But anyway, the first thing I did was I went to the scenario editor, placed some buildings,
but
and
a
then...
pyromaniac is with fire, not things collapsing.
Yeah, but like
I'm a pyromaniac. I love things collapsing. That's
buildings,
not what it means.
the buildings collapse because they get set on fire. So
Okay.
I guess it's sort of
Fair enough.
makes
You just didn't
But-
make that clear.
I mean, I there's something just kind of satisfying about watching buildings collapse. I don't know what it is, but anyway,
There's
well,
something
the first
like-
thing I did.
Interesting about watching anything collapse. I don't know why. I don't know, but go on.
But the first thing I did when I got the game is after I went through like the million-year boot up screen, because once again it's very intensive. I went into the scenario editor, placed some buildings down, and went through each civilization, watched their buildings collapse and their wonders collapse, and because each civilization has a unique wonder, which means each wonder has their own collapse animation, which is pretty neat.
What does that? What does that mean? Like how are collapse animations different per empire?
Well, for like shared architecture, all buildings are for like shared architecture, all the buildings will have the same animation, collapse animations, because it's just like the same building, or it's just like the same architecture. But each civilization has its own wonder, and each building in the game with a unique appearance has its own collapse animation that is somewhat realistic and fluid. I mean, and it's just instead of just the building just disappearing and being replaced with a pile of rock on the ground, you actually get to watch it collapse. And because each civilization has their own wonder, each wonder looks different, so each one has their own collapse animation. So I was primarily interested in seeing those. And I just thought, I never actually played the actual game, because I was kind of afraid it wouldn't be able to run very well. Because I was already having issues as it is. I didn't want to push it too hard.
The game having issues, or your PC having issues running it?
PC having issues. Because, I mean, we have, like, I think Windows 10, but there is a lot of junk on the computer we probably should get rid of, so that might have been why I was having trouble running. Also, our graphics card might not be very good.
Yeah, maybe.
But the game actually comes with a lot of changes. The game comes with a lot of changes, like, well, I mean, you're not gonna understand, but because you haven't played, but
you can kind of say in a nutshell.
Well, basically, it's like quality of life changes to minor inconveniences have been mitigated from the game. Like, you can actually queue units and text at buildings at the same time instead of only being able to do units. Basically, what it was, you could queue multiple units at the same time, but you could not queue multiple texts, and you could not queue units and text together at a building. So you basically, what the whole point of the quality of life changes is to actually decrease the amount of time you have to actually micromanage your buildings and military, and also your economy as well, so you can spend more time actually doing the strategy instead of just micromanaging everything.
Interesting.
And like you can tell, you have waypoints for villagers. You can tell them what to do instead of just telling them what to do individually. You can have them go on a set path where they do multiple things. Once the thing that they're working on is over, then they go to the next thing in this series, and they do that until all the waypoints are used up. And it's just very convenient. And also, instead of like when you're building a building, instead of like the foundations just being generic for all buildings, each building has its own foundation, so you can actually see what building it is, what building you're building from a glance.
What kind of, now the buildings that you build, are they in different styles of the empires?
Yeah, like each civilization, there are different architecture sets which are shared by civilization. So like the Britons and the Franks and the Celts all have the same architecture, which is a Western European architecture, while the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas all have their Mesoamerican architecture.
Are there any empires that they're planning on adding in DLC or anything?
They actually did add 4 new civilizations in the
original. In the
definitive edition. They actually added 4 new civilizations.
Okay.
In addition to the DLC expansions that came with the HD port of Age of Empires 2. Basically, there are 3 versions of the game. There's actually 4. There's Age of Empires 2: The Age of Kings, which is the original version, which had it's like the base game without the Aztecs and Mayans and a few other civilizations. And then there's the Conquerors, which is the first expansion, which was the only official expansion made by the original game company. And then years later, we got HD Edition, which came with 3 different expansions, which was the Forgotten, which had like various civilizations, and then the African Kingdoms, which had African civilizations, and then the Rise of the Rajas, which had Southeast Asian
Is there
civilizations.
voice acting in the game?
Yeah, there is voice acting.
So do they speak their native tongues?
Yeah, they speak their native tongues as well as they can, and also in Definitive Edition, all the campaigns have voice acting now, because the Forgotten campaigns didn't have voice acting for some reason. I guess they're just lazy, but all the other campaigns had voice acting, and they just added voice acting to the Forgotten campaigns, and I think revamped voice acting for the other campaigns too. So now, one change that I did not know about until today, because, well, none of the developers or mentioned anything about, but if you're the Aztecs or Incas, if you convert a stable, because the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas can't normally build stables, but if the Aztecs and Incas convert a stable using their monks, they can actually create a unique cavalry unit which is styled after their units, but has the same stats as a regular knight.
Interesting.
Which I did not know about. That was something that was added in Definitive Edition. I thought that was pretty neat. I actually did not know about it until today, and it's pretty cool. I think it's called the Xolotl Warrior, which I think is Xolotl. And Xolotl is apparently the name of an Aztec dog god or something like that.
Oh yeah. Actually, I do know of that. Because I remember a while back, before all the tailed beasts in Naruto were released, I was like taking a look at all different mythological creatures, and I do actually remember that one, just the one that I came across when I was looking at different what's the word I'm looking for? Regions, I guess? Like different, civilizations. That's what I'm looking for. Like different mythical creatures from different civilizations. I was like looking into that out of interest, and I do remember it was kind of like a snake dog thing. It was pretty neat.
Now, the thing is, this unit, obviously there's no room for mythical creatures in Age of Empires 2 because it's a historical game, so it's just named after the mythological creature.
Unless they make a fantasy edition.
They actually do have Age of Mythology.
Huh, that sounds cool.
Is a spin-off with they actually have like it's primarily focused on like mythology with like gods and mythical creatures and stuff like that. I think there's like the Norse, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Norse, the Greek, Egyptians, and trying to remember here. I think then there's the Atlanteans and then the Chinese. I think there's only 5.
Neat.
But that's because they're all significantly different, so they couldn't really add too many civilizations because they're all like really different with like completely different units and stuff.
Right.
So anyway, that's enough for me. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to game wise? I think from the last episode we had, I probably mentioned that I was playing Monster Hunter Iceborne, which is awesome. I finally beat the main story for it, and now I've been doing all the extra goodies, because that game never ends. I did the Resident Evil event, so I got all of that stuff. And I think today the new Horizon Zero Dawn event starts, and that should be. I think there's an armor set, maybe a weapon. I gotta double check what it all is, but I'm excited for it because in the beginning of Monster Hunter World, when it first came out, there was another Horizon Zero Dawn event, and there was one of the robotic creatures in Horizon Zero Dawn was called the Watcher, and there was an outfit for the Palico called Watcher, and it pretty much turned it into like a cybernetic cat thing. But as you progress through the game, and now where I am now, that outfit for the Palico, it's like an armor set, so it's so weak. Your Palico will probably die in 1 or 2 hits. But this new Horizon Zero Dawn event, I think, releases an updated version of the Watcher armor. So I'm really excited for that because that was one of my favorite Palico armors. Because it was just cool to have a Robo Kitty.
Yeah.
Meow, meow. So, other than that, some of the new monsters they added in are really cool. I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played it yet, but at the same time, I feel like maybe it being out for a couple of months or a few months makes it. I could talk about it, maybe? I don't know.
You should probably play it safe. I accidentally spoiled the ending of Persona 5 on a PSO subreddit, and people got mad at me despite the fact it was like a year old, so probably shouldn't talk about it.
Alright, fair enough. But they are still supporting the game and adding stuff, so the last DLC they added was, in terms of a new monster, was the Rajang, which is basically like an Uzaru from Dragon Ball.
I don't know anything about Dragon Ball.
Oh, basically it's an angry monkey that could turn Super Saiyan.
I just picture that now.
Yeah, I don't think we know yet what the next monster is going to be, but I am excited for it nonetheless. There are monsters from previous games that I still really want to see, and I'm really hoping that they get implemented in. Zinogre was my favorite monster, and they finally added him in Iceborne. And I would really like to see. There's a monster called, and now I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Seregios or Seregios. It's basically like a blade chicken.
Probably Seregios.
Seregios, I don't know, or Seregios. I'm not sure. Even the computer characters, like they pronounce the names differently. Like,
that's confusing.
I know. It's like they don't even say this consistently. I think
have some consistency, darn it.
Yeah, I think one character called it Rajang and the other one said Rajang, and I was like, well, which is it? I think they try to keep it consistent with the original Japanese, but then when two characters in the same game pronounce it two different ways, I'm like, well, what is it? It's hard enough having to guess, but when they say it two different ways, then, you know, like, there's a creature called, well, before I say how it's pronounced, there's a creature that looks like a T-Rex, fused, it has like tiger stripes and like wing arms, and it like walks on all fours, but its front arm, like legs, are more like arms, and it's spelled Tigrex. So I've always been thinking it was Tigrex because I kind of associate like the tiger stripes and like the T-Rex thing. But then in the game they called it Tigrex. I was like, really? It's Tigrex? Like that threw me for a loop.
Probably because T-Rex.
Maybe, but it's not spelled like that. But I can see that though. But then it's I don't know, like a combination of T-Rex and tiger.
It's an auditory pun. That's what it is.
But I wish they released the pronunciations along with it. So I try to stay consistent when I find out how something's pronounced, and I try to change it up in my mind to be consistent. Like there's a creature, I think it's pronounced Odorogon or Odogaron, and I've been saying it like Odogaron because it acts like a dog, so I thought it was kind of like a pun. But then they pronounced it Odogaron, and I was like, huh, I can see it being right, and I can see it being wrong. But yeah, a lot of the monsters. I want to say I love all the monsters in that game, but a few of them stick out as some of my favorites, and some of my favorite monsters are not in Monster Hunter, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that they add Saragios, and I want them to add Zamtrio, which is basically a shark that's like has 4 limbs. Imagine like a frog with a shark head. It's like and a tail.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, and they have monsters in Monster Hunter have like variants, but they go by different names based on what they are. Like some are variants, some are I forget the words that they use for it, but I just default to say a variant, but that's not necessarily right. But like they have basically they'll like reuse a model and make changes to it as like a regional variant or something, like you would for Pokemon, I suppose. You know, like the Alolan version. So like for Zamtrio, for example. I think it was introduced in Monster Hunter 4. So when you first encounter it, it's in the icy water area. But then you can later encounter a version of it in the desert area, and it's like a land shark version. So they do stuff like that where you'll encounter like the same model with slight changes, and it'll have like a different name or like a subspecies. Was one of the words I was looking for, like a subspecies or a variant. So I get confused on like if something is a variant, if something's a subspecies, if something's a whatever. But yeah, Zamtrio and Saragios are among my favorites, along with Zinogre, who made it in. And I don't think we'll get some of the title monsters, if that's what they call them, like the box monsters, because every Monster Hunter seems to have a main monster, and the one from 4 Ultimate was Gormagala, and it was really awesome, but I don't see them implementing it, but they could, because the point of the story of 4 was that Gormagala was spreading a virus, that it creates some kind of virus and it spreads it, and so a lot of the monsters were acting up, and that was the threat to the environment. So I feel like if they brought Gormagala into the game, they could make a lot of story around it, and they could introduce new elements, or they could just introduce it and not do that. So I think they wanted to include a monster, I think pronounced Lagaya Cruz, and I don't know which one that was from. I only played 4 before World, and I think they were having issues with getting the model to work, but it'd be cool if they added it in. I don't even remember what it was like, what it looked like. So, but you know, It's not like Pokemon where they've been adding all the monsters in up until the most recent game. I think Monster Hunter has always only had a handful plus new ones. So,
I mean,
what a way to transition into Pokemon. But
they keep fan expectations down that way, so they don't get disappointed.
Yeah, but I think DLC adds that possibility. See, I don't know how to handle it. It's a completely different. Like, the thing with Pokemon is you're catching and training and using these monsters as part of your team, whereas in Monster Hunter, you're hunting these monsters for their parts. And I think you have the ability to have all the different types of abilities that the different armors grant by putting in the different gems in the gem slots to modify your equipment, but they're not always gonna look the same as older monster materials. Like in 4, I used the Seregios set, which I think was just called the Regios armor, and that armor doesn't exist in this game because that monster's not in the game. So, in terms of looks, I can, you can't get that armor again, but in terms of abilities, you might be able to get it very similar. But Pokemon is different because people are attached to the creatures that they're actually using to battle with. So
yeah. So, is Rathalos in World?
Yes. I think he's a staple monster.
Now, actually,
I think he is basically the mascot of the series. So it'd be really weird if he wasn't in.
I feel like Pikachu was. If it would be like if Pikachu wasn't in.
Yeah, it'd be like if Pikachu wasn't in. That's pretty much. I'm not familiar with the older games of Monster Hunter, but I think that Rathalos might have been the first box monster. But I could be completely wrong with that, but I thought that was the case. Other than that, to transition, unless you have anything to ask about Monster Hunter, I've also been playing Pokemon Sword.
Well, I actually had a little bit to talk about in terms. I actually Rathalos in Smash Ultimate, the boss, is he accurate to how he's fought in Monster Hunter?
He does do a lot of the similar moves, so I would say yes in that sense. They even added in the stun, which was pretty cool because you stun monsters. When you're hunting them, you can stun them with certain items, I guess you would say, like a flash pod or flash flies. They would kind of like stun it, like make them blind. So when you use the Deku Nuts against the Rathalos in Smash, it's like that same thing, which is really cool that they added that.
Yeah. So like I
would say he's pretty accurate to a Smash Bros version of a Rathalos.
That's good because I actually realized the first boss of Phantasy Star Online is probably the main inspiration for Rathalos. Because they have a very similar appearance.
What came out first?
And they also,
Phantasy Star?
What? Phantasy Star Online came out like a few. It came out. I don't know how much sooner it came out, but it was the inspiration. Apparently, the developers of Monster Hunter incorporated a lot of the elements of Phantasy Star Online's combat system into their combat system. So Phantasy Star Online's DNA is in some of Monster Hunter, so to speak. But I actually realized that the dragon, the first boss of Phantasy Star Online, which is the boss of a forest level, it's just called a dragon. It's not anything special. But it actually has a lot of What?
What color is it?
It's red.
Is this Phantasy Star Online?
Phantasy Star Online Dragon. If you look up the Phantasy Star Online Dragon, you can see what I'm talking about. You could probably pull it up next to
Look it up
Rathalos.
right now, actually.
They look incredibly similar.
Star Online Dragon. Why is there only one dragon?
Well, it's just called Dragon, so you probably
is the green one, right? Okay.
No, I don't think it's green.
It's got like red wings and it's kind of green.
Phantasy Star Online Dragon. I'm going to see what you're talking about. But anyway,
Dragon is replaced by Seal Dragon.
Yes.
In the Ultimate version.
Yes, that's
like similar.
So anyway, like I realized that Rathalos has a lot of similar attacks in Smash to the Phantasy Star Online Dragon, which means that if a Phantasy Star Online rep got in Smash, that the classic mode boss would have to be Rathalos because there's literally no better option. But anyway, like they have a lot of similar attacks because the Phantasy Star Online Dragon spews fire on the ground, which is what Rathalos does. And then it also goes up into the air and spins around, spewing fire, which is sort of what Rathalos does in Smash.
Yeah.
And then also, if you damage the dragon enough times, it will crouch down, so you can hit its head. Which is just like Smash.
I wonder if one inspired the other.
Well, like I said, Phantasy Star Online came out first.
What year did it come out?
2000, I think.
At least 2000. What was the first monster? Let's find out. Drum roll, please, while I find this. First release was 2004. For the PlayStation 2.
That's also the same. I believe that's also like the same year that an Xbox and PC expansion for Phantasy Star Online came out, if I remember correctly. So, but I just think it's really interesting.
Who made Phantasy Star? Oh, I think I asked you this.
Phantasy Star Online was made by Sega and Sonic Team.
Actually, on this Wikipedia article for Monster Hunter mentions Phantasy Star Online. It says Monster Hunter places the player in the role of an up-and-coming hunter. This is the first game. Who must accomplish various quests to achieve glory. Armors, weapons, and other items are created from the remains of slain monsters by carving off their horns, scales, and bones, as well as from mining for ores in the field. Monster Hunter plays in a similar fashion to Phantasy Star Online, allowing the player to team up with up to 3 other hunters online to take down stronger monsters. That's interesting that the article even mentions it. I wonder if it was an inspiration. I mean, there was 4 years between, so I wonder if there was some sort of inspiration from it.
There probably was, because Phantasy Star Online also has a thing where monsters can drop their parts, where you can turn their parts into weapons. That is a thing in Phantasy Star Online, and the similarities between Phantasy Star Online and Monster Hunter are too big to ignore. So I think there is some definite inspiration.
I can see that. That's neat.
And also, apparently, my brother plays Destiny, and he says that when I told him that I started playing Phantasy Star Online again, he said, "Why?"
Why?
He said it was really dated, which it is, but it's also a good game. But the next time I see him, which will be next week at Thanksgiving, I'm going to tell him that without Phantasy Star Online, he wouldn't have Destiny 2 to play.
I just typed in on Google, did Phantasy Star inspire Monster Hunter? And there was something from Eurogamer in 2010. Phantasy Star Portable 2. This was effectively a scaled down and free-to-play Phantasy Star universe on the PSP, which took inspiration from Monster Hunter, a game which, ironically, Phantasy Star Online inspired itself by offering an ad hoc multiplayer experience for 4 players. So maybe it's been confirmed that it inspired it, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
and then that inspired Phantasy Star again. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of how Smash Ultimate is inspired by a certain extent by the UI is inspired by Persona 5.
Is it?
And then
But Smash came out first. Or are you talking about Smash Ultimate specifically?
Smash Ultimate came out Persona 5 came out in Japan in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So Smash Ultimate, has if you look at the UI and also the spirit system,
Mm-hmm.
they're also kind of similar to Persona 5. So I think it's kind of neat that Smash Ultimate is inspired by Persona 5.
Well, then it's interesting that Joker was in as like the first DLC, as if it was on Sakurai's mind the whole time.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. And we know that Sakurai did not choose Joker. We know that he didn't choose.
We know he chose him out of a list of accepted ones. We don't know how big that list is. For all we know, that list consisted of 5 characters. As far as we know, Nintendo gave him a list of 5 characters and said, "This is the first pass." And then he was like, "Yeah, I chose these characters from this list that I didn't have any other options."
I mean, there's probably like 20 or maybe even 50 characters to choose from.
I wonder if the upcoming DLC is still restricted to that list.
I think they might have said something, but I think there was a statement that Nintendo still chose all the remaining DLC characters, which means that campaigning for a certain character to be in Smash right now may actually be futile.
Yeah, it is futile.
I think it's kind of funny that with just one comment we transitioned from talking about Phantasy Star Online and Monster Hunter to Smash.
Yeah, it's like between the two of us, we have ADD and ADD.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, I haven't been diagnosed with ADD, but
I think I was when I was younger, like mild. So, and I definitely know I do in terms of jumping from topic to topic. I'll be talking to someone, and I'll think of in my brain will make connections like, oh, this reminds me of this, which reminds me, like I'll create like a whole path in my head, and then I'll start talking about something. And it's like, what? How did you get to that? And I'm like, oh, you don't understand how my brain works. Let me sit you. Why don't you take a seat and I'll explain how ADD works. Sorry, I don't have the attention span to explain how ADD works.
My brain is like a YouTube recommended bar. It starts out on topic, but gradually gets more and more off topic until it's just a completely different topic that's just entirely unrelated.
Right. So we've kind of transitioned into 3 things, and we still haven't talked about them. We transitioned into Pokemon, and we haven't talked about it. Then we transitioned into Smash, and we haven't really talked about it too much. And now we just transitioned into
our brains.
YouTube, which we wanted to talk a little bit about the COPPA thing, which we haven't talked about yet. So, if we want to run for about an hour, what we were planning, we can maybe spend the next 20 minutes trying to somehow talk about all 3.
Well, I can first. Maybe we can talk about both Smash and Pokemon at the same time, because they actually announced that Pokemon Sword and Shield spirits are coming to Smash Ultimate tomorrow.
Thank you for reminding me. I gotta get that.
I figured it was kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
But I think if there was gonna be a Pokemon Sword and Shield rep in this Smash game or the next Smash game, it's probably gonna be Rillaboom.
You think so?
I mean, he's a drummer. I mean, the only other drumming.
Is he gonna be an echo of Donkey Kong?
No, the only drummer we had was Donkey Kong. That was just one move, kind of like how Incineroar has a pro wrestling vibe. I
feel like they might be more interested in using Inteleon or Cinderace, but at the same time, I would expect a grass type because we already have fire and water, and I feel like we have 2 fires technically with Charizard. You know, even though it's not its own character anymore, but
we got robbed of Decidueye.
I still think Decidueye we should have gotten because he would have played uniquely in terms of using long range. I don't think any of the other Pokemon really are very long range oriented. Maybe Pikachu's electric attacks, but Pikachu's also very strong in like up close. So, like you can say the same about Lucario and Mewtwo's regular attacks with like the Shadow Ball or the Aura Sphere, but they're also very up close. So yes. I don't know. It would be interesting to see a character that's strongest point is distance, and up close they're kind of weak.
Yeah, I think there could be a character like that. A worm from Worms.
That'd be neat.
Be very projectile.
Would it be a team of 4 worms?
I mean, I think just 1 worm would be enough. I don't think people would be very happy at having 4 worms because having 4 worms at once would be kind of annoying.
Do you think we'll get a new Pokemon as a DLC?
Yeah, that's what I was in the middle of saying. And we switched.
I wouldn't mind it if it wasn't like a paid thing. If it was extra, like Piranha Plant, even though he did become paid if you didn't buy the game. But that's also expecting a lot. Like, give us free DLC. Like, they're already putting a lot of time and effort into making DLC. I'm not expecting free DLC, but I'm also like, I wouldn't be against a Pokemon rep, but I feel like we shouldn't get a Pokemon rep because we have quite a lot.
Yeah,
so,
but
like Fire Emblem.
I feel like Fire Emblem's consistent, large number of, Fire Emblem's consistently large number of reps is kind of unjustified because it's kind of a niche series. I mean, it's growing steadily popular. It became mainstream with Fire Emblem. I think it was Awakening.
Not only that, but 2 of them are echoes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically we have those 2 characters, but like Lucina and Chrom are 2 characters, but you can also argue that they're not. So, I don't know. Not to mention that Roy also started as a clone of Marth. Yeah, that's true. But he's come a long way, so he's a bit different now.
Yeah.
And according to Sakura, he's not. So.
But, I think that, it's okay that we have a lot of Fire Emblem characters, but there's not really any logical reason I could see for having so many Fire Emblem characters. Pokemon is a different story because, Pokemon's all about catching them all and having large dexes and but Pokemon is supposed to be about having a large dex. Not anymore, but apparently not. But that's why they got rid of the "Gotta catch 'em all" slogan, because now you really can't catch them all. But I think they scrapped it because there was way too many Pokemon at one point, and then they just scrapped the slogan. It would be like if Smash had 1,000 characters total, and but all of them were in different games. They're returning characters, and then they're let's say there are 10 Smash games or something like that. It's a really high number, but there's 10 Smash games, and together their total number of characters was 1,000. And then you had another game that was supposed to be Smash Ultimate, supposed to feature them all. You have 1,000 characters in one game. And that's way too many to handle. Yeah. Especially since it's not like Pokemon where the animations are fairly simple and they have small movesets. The movesets are fully fleshed out and there's a lot of moves and every character has alternate costumes. It would be impossible.
Yeah, and they're still
So,
pretty adamant about not adding in the national decks in future games. However, there is a bit of a loophole I can see. Technically, in Sun and Moon, we had every Pokemon, but we didn't have the national decks. The Pokemon that weren't in the game that you could transfer over to, they didn't appear in the decks. They had, like, for their number or something, I think it was, like, question mark. So they could technically still add in every Pokemon and still say that the national dex is not in.
Yeah, but that's
the
like
national dex is the Pokedex. I understand people what they mean by auditioning for the national dex. I understand what they mean is they want every Pokemon back. But technically, it's wrong. Because Sun and Moon didn't have the national dex, but it had every Pokemon. So, I can see Game Freak, like, I could see them being a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it just going over their heads. Like, people want the national dex, but, like, you know, we're not going to put the national dex in, but eventually we'll put all Pokemon again. Like, I can see it going over their head, but, like, I can also see them understanding, you know? I hope it goes over their head and they add in all the Pokemon, and that, or I can see them making a joke out of it, and then, like, you know, like a DLC where, like, yes, all the Pokemon are back, but unfortunately we're not adding in the national dex. It's like I can see them doing that to just, like, poke fun at it. Be like, you guys wanted the national dex, but, you know, we're giving you all the Pokemon. I could just see them, like, making a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Because Sun and Moon didn't have the national dex.
But, like, yeah, like, as I was saying, you know, I think there's a fairly justified reason for there being so many Pokemon characters in Smash. And it's not like Fire Emblem, where most of the Fire Emblem characters play very similarly. They have like maybe like one special like fire move, like that's elemental, but like the rest are just basic sword swipes and stabs and stuff. Like they all play very similar. But Pokemon, you know, except for Robin and Corrin, but that's different. But like Pokemon, like
similar, but not necessarily the same, but very similar.
Yes. But like Pokemon, all the Pokemon characters in Smash, they play significantly different from each other, except for Pikachu and Pichu for obvious reasons. Right. But like,
interestingly enough, Sakurai had said it's not a character's personality. It's not a character's popularity that gets them chosen, but how unique they are. But all of the Pokemon have been the more popular Pokemon. Maybe in past Smash games it was about popularity, and going forward it's not. I mean, you have Pokemon Trainer, who all the Pokemon are representative of starters and Gen 1. You know, Pikachu's the mascot. Pichu was I guess a semi-mascot at one point. During the Melee days, I would say it kind of was. Lucario was a big Pokemon around the time it debuted, and it had its own movie. You could say the same for Mewtwo, especially being like one of the original legendaries and a very popular character. Jigglypuff was very popular because of the anime, I think.
Yeah.
And I might be forgetting one or two. Incineroar is Incineroar. Yeah, Greninja and Incineroar represent the gen that they come from, I would say, but also I think they're very popular. Not to mention they were the Pokemon Ash had in the anime at the time. Because I think he had Greninja and then he had Incineroar. So I guess to determine what Pokemon might get chosen. I haven't been following it, but the Sword and Shield version of the anime, I wonder if they showed any of the starters that Ash might have, because that might be a big hint to if a Sword and Shield Pokemon came, it would most likely be that, because it would push the popularity of that Pokemon for the anime, and vice versa. Like, they kind of go hand in hand. But I haven't really been following the news for the anime, so I don't know if he's even getting a starter. I really don't know.
I mean, he's been like 10 or something for like 20 years.
Eternally 10. So I can see that as like an MTV show on like a real life Ash Ketchum. It's just called like Eternally 10. Like those shows like my Super Sweet 16 and stuff. It's just a reality show following someone who's been 10 years old for like 20 years. But they're still actually 10 years old. Like, I guess it would be like the disorder or disease or whatever it exactly is that like Andy Milonakis has, where it's like you don't go through puberty. Like I can see a show like that and them calling it Eternally 10, which it's like it's not. It's kind of like not necessarily a diss, but it's almost like disrespectful because I'm sure the person doesn't want to be known as being 10, but it's also a catchy title that I can see like the producers pushing on them. Like, if you want a reality show, we have to call it Eternally 10. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's just funny.
Kind of like Aang being 12 for like 100 years because he got stuck in ice.
Yeah, but that actually had a story reason. Ash hasn't been stuck in ice. He's been in a coma. Well, I think they actually confirmed that theory was not true. Okay, like, so I'm looking at the anime. I just typed in the Pokemon Sword and Shield anime. I think he has a new friend named Go, and I think that character has Scorbunny. So, get ready for Cinderace in Smash Bros. Another fire starter.
Oh boy. Why can't we get a grass starter?
Because they're not popular.
Alpha Stoutland just uploaded his collaboration.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
The collaboration with you?
Yeah, we can mention it now that's out. So yeah, he collaborated. I was keeping quiet because I didn't know if he was gonna upload, before you upload your video.
Yeah.
But now we can talk about it. I actually did a collaboration with him.
Hooray!
And you should. Anybody watching this, if you've gotten to this part, just go watch the collaboration if you haven't already.
Maybe I'll send a link to it. 3 minutes
really
ago,
fun.
The number one Super Smash Bros. Rule that was... The number one Super Smash Bros. Rule was broken, ... and we totally missed it. Was that it?
Yep.
I got it.
That was it.
Can you give us any hint?
Oh boy. Any hint?
Yeah. We'll just watch the video.
Just watch the video.
I'll link
just go ahead.
I'll link to it in the thing.
Do you want to talk about COPPA real quick?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have a very good understanding of it. Do you have a decent understanding of it?
I've been keeping up with it somewhat, so...
Okay, well, do you want to lead that conversation?
Yeah, it's mostly one-sided, but I think I understand enough about to explain it to you. Basically, what it is YouTube messed up. They tracked people under 13. They used that information to provide targeted ads to them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there was a concern from the government that it would be used by predators to lead children into unsafe situations
like
where they could
T-Rex.
where they could be like trafficked or whatever. So I think that's probably the main concern behind COPPA. That's why they're doing that. Mm-hmm. But basically, the way they're going about it is just totally messed up.
I understand and appreciate the intention of protecting children, but it's just so vague that it can be abused.
Like the newest thing is that the FTC actually wanted YouTube to provide a mixed audience option for videos, but for some reason YouTube doesn't want to provide that. So now it's not black and white anymore. It's not just for kids or not for kids. It's actually mixed audience. If YouTube does decide to implement that, that will be good for my channel because I make videos about games, but it's mostly supposed to be for like teenagers and young adults.
I don't know how it would affect me because I don't think not that I'm aware of. I'm not making any money off of any of these videos, so the podcast will continue. But I still don't know how the rules might affect it. Like, if it was considered for kids, then it would get like no marketing. So I'm not making any money off my videos either, but I'm still a little concerned about it. But I think the main thing to worry about is whether the thumbnail is attractive to kids, and all you do is use a purple background and black text, and that's not really attractive to kids. Kids like bright colors. Just make it like black with white text or white with black text and like get away with it.
What you're doing now is fine. If I was a 5-year-old kid, I probably wouldn't click on your podcasts because it's not bright colors.
Yeah, but it does say gaming.
It says gaming, but
what I would have to worry about is my comic and the motion comic and the fictional podcast that goes along with it, because those are bright colors and stuff. And it's not necessarily targeted for kids. It's targeted for like in all audiences with like teens in mind. It's got like the almost like the Shonen Jump mentality where it's like aimed at teens, but it's like kids can read it, or you know, there's some blood here and there, and it's like it's more like a teen aimed series, but because of it's colorful and it's a comic and there's really no cursing, like I can see it being assumed it's for kids, I guess. So I don't know how that will be handled.
The FTC made something about cartoons being marked for kids, being assumed that they're for kids, but not comics.
But a motion comic, it has some slight animation in it and voice acting. So
I don't know. It's a gray area.
It technically is a cartoon, but technically not. So technically confusing.
Rest assured, it's not going. All the stuff is not going to be marked by bots. You're going to have actual people able to discern context, review this stuff. If there's also the theory that they're only going to go after the big channels because they can't possibly. There's thousands, maybe even millions of channels on YouTube, and 500 hours of new content uploaded.
Right.
Every single minute.
Right.
And they cannot possibly. Go through all of that. So they probably just go through like the top 10 or top 20 YouTube channels, and maybe the top 50 or whatever, and start with those. Make sure those are not, dangerous to kids, and then they just go from there. But I don't think the small channels like me really have much to worry about.
Yeah, I hope so. But then what happens if you become a big channel somehow? Like you're an overnight sensation, and then all of a sudden all eyes are on you, and you're like, give me that $42,000 fine, please. Is it 42 or 40,000? I mean, either way, it's ridiculous.
42.
High. And again, I understand the intention of like not wanting to take advantage of children, but it's such a gray area. So it's really difficult.
There's also people are saying that the $42,000 fine is not going to be right off the bat. That's just going to be for extreme cases.
Right.
If you're a first-time offender, people are saying it's probably going to be a much smaller fine because, if you're a police officer and this person is going like 10 miles over the speed limit, let's go with 15 because I think 10 is allowed sometimes. if you're going 15 miles over the speed limit for some reason, but it's like your first time offense, you're probably not gonna get slapped with a very big fine because it's just your first time. But if you've gotten caught like 10 times before going over the speed limit, you're probably gonna get much bigger fine. You might even go to prison because you're a repeat offender. So
Right.
I think that the COPPA regulations are going to potentially work the same way. Because it's unreasonable for the government to just assume the worst out of people, don't give people the benefit of the doubt, and then place them in prison for not being able to pay a fine because they're small YouTubers.
Yeah, I really have I just hope that it's not like, that. I hope it doesn't come down to that. I would hate to see some really great YouTubers just like, their careers end,
I mean, I don't think the prisons in the U.S. would even be able to handle the influx of people.
They'd have to build a whole new prison for YouTube prison.
And maybe people would still be able to make videos in prison.
Prison vlogs. Alright, this is my 52nd day in YouTube prison. Today's lunch is mashed potatoes and mash. Apparently I'm not a human. I have no rights. That's messed up.
Yeah, there's also the concern that FTC is a U.S. based. It's in the U.S. and many YouTubers are not in the U.S. So how can they easily enforce it for people who are not?
That's interesting. Wait, COPPA is only for the U.S.?
Well, COPPA is an FTC regulation.
So
and even
what's
COPPA,
the law with that?
COPPA is an internet regulation, which all internet regulations, if one country wants, because the internet is international and global, many countries are interacting with it. If one country wants to implement a change to the internet, all other countries have to comply. That's the way it works.
That's interesting.
But the thing is, the FTC is a U.S. only. Is a U.S. only.
So if it passed, how would that affect? Is YouTube a U.S. company?
Yeah, YouTube's based in California.
Okay, so they would have to abide by it being in the U.S. I wonder what would happen if YouTube was not based in the U.S. Would they still be fined?
People are saying... Well, the thing is, YouTube probably wouldn't even be bound to COPPA in the first place because they wouldn't be in the U.S. And it's only supposed to protect
advertisers that put their stake in people's videos?
I don't know.
They would get in trouble. Well, the solution is for YouTube to open up an international office, like YouTube Britain or something, like, and then they're fine. I don't know how it works. Honestly, maybe we should go back to the way it used to be. I don't know if this is a bad idea or not, but the internet used to be a completely law-free zone. Where it was completely lawless. No laws applied to the internet, and maybe I don't think there should be, no laws should apply on the internet because that would be total anarchy. But I think that it should be mostly free from just individual countries' laws. It's difficult because the idea of a law is obviously to protect, but a lot of laws are very black and white. Whereas a lot of things on the internet, in terms of creative ideas, are very mixed, like gray. So it's very hard to enforce creativity because it's so lucid that it's hard to explain. But it basically makes a law so vague, as we're seeing now. Because who's to say what is for children and what's not? like, it's a very philosophical question then. And it's like, we need to make a law around this philosophical question. It's like, we need to take this, this psychological and philosophical question and break it down into a science. It's like, good luck with that, you know? It's really difficult. I do not envy the people in that position. And, you know, a lot of people are up in arms because it's so vague, and it's very hard to not make it vague, I suppose. So this really needs a lot of time in the oven before it gets implemented.
Traditional lawmaking worked because it applied to individual countries and the people living in those countries. But the internet is international. People from all countries with internet access can interact with each other, and that makes lawmaking much harder. Mm-hmm. Because you can't. It muddies everything up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, it's tough. So, we're basically at the hour mark, a little more. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up for today?
We talked about Pokemon, we talked about Smash, we talked about COPPA. Those are the three main things. I talked a little bit about Phantasy Star Online, which is what I wanted mainly.
There was a couple other things I wanted to talk about, but maybe we don't really have a lot of time. Like, I was gonna question who you thought was, like, the 5th DLC fighter, and what your thoughts were about some of the stuff that's been coming out since. I know that Papagenos was also talking about PlayStation's going to be at a Smash event, so it's like, do you think that we got a PlayStation character, or perhaps a character that was prominent on the PlayStation but not necessarily owned by Sony? For example, Crash Bandicoot, you know? Like,
we might just have to, keep that in the back burner and just save it for another podcast.
Yeah.
The next one. Because...
Well, I think music I'm going to choose today will either be from Monster Hunter or Pokemon Sword and Shield, because they both have epic music.
Yeah.
I know Alpha, I saw on his Twitter, I think he beat the league or became the champion, so I'm way far behind. I think I only got my 4th badge because I've been busy with the move, and I haven't really been able to just sit down and play a lot. But yeah, I'm excited to keep playing it, though. It is fun.
And I still haven't gotten anywhere. I still haven't advanced very far in Dragon Quest XI.
I still didn't even start 7. I was taking a break because I had played 6 Dragon Quest games back to back, and I was like, I need a little bit of a break. And then I've just been playing, and I have 7. I have it. I just, because I got it online, but I just have not opened it yet because I've been playing other stuff like Monster Hunter and now Pokemon, and I think I was also playing the new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out. I was just taking a little RPG break, and Pokemon's not a very RPG heavy game, like in the same sense. I mean, obviously it's an RPG, but it's a lot more kid friendly, or I'm trying to choose my words lightly because I don't want to say it's easy, because it's like Babby's first RPG, but
it's supposed. It's a casual RPG.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's what it is. Yeah, where Dragon Quest is very not casual.
RPGs are generally quite difficult because there's all these choices you have to make. But Pokemon, it's fairly simple. I've never played a Pokemon game in my life, but from what it seems like, it seems fairly simple. I mean, battles can last like only a few seconds if you have like the right moves.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
And I can tell you, Dragon Quest gets ridiculously difficult. In the post game, it's like, unless you want to spend hours and hours, it's almost not even worth it. if you want to just jump into the next game, then it's like not even worth it because you're going to be spending way too much time on it.
Well, we should probably stop before we start talking something.
True. All right. Well, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Reddit. I guess I should send that to you.
Yeah, you made a new Twitter, right?
I did make a new Twitter. Rico Tyrell for Smash.
Okay.
She is the unseen protagonist of Phantasy Star Online. She's guiding the player, and she's also the daughter of the principal, who's the man that actually sent you out on the mission. So
send me the link to your new Twitter.
Yep.
So I can do that.
And I just want to say this: it's good to be back.
Yeah, man.
I missed, and
It's good to be back too.
I mean, I didn't do it for a while because I thought I might have difficulty with school. But the only things that I am behind in school right now are projects, which, I mean, there's really no deadline on projects apparently. So there's really no deadline on any of the assignments. But like, I'm just doing my schoolwork very casually. And
you're a senior, right?
Yes, I'm a senior.
Nice.
So,
Mr. Senior.
My parents wanted me to take a break from the podcast before, once school started. But then I'm not really having any trouble with school right now, so
Great. That's great.
I'm back.
Nice.
I have all A's.
Nice. His report card says, "Ah."
Well, it's progress report, not a report card, but
His
yeah.
progress report says, "Ah."
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Alrighty. Well, you can find me in the links below as well. Hopefully you have the description in front of you because that's too much. Yeah, it's basically either Drew Maru or DrewMaru_comics for Twitter, or I don't think I sometimes go by Diamond Def, but I don't think it's in any of my links. Basically, Patreon is Drew Maru. YouTube is, I don't know, a bunch of numbers and letters. I don't know why. Twitter is DrewMaru_comics. Tumblr is Drew Maru, which I never use, but things from Instagram get put there, I think. DeviantArt is Drew Maru. Facebook is Andrew DeCrescenzo Artist. Aha, that's different. And SoundCloud is Drew Maru. So, there you go. You can also find...
You just list those off like a champ.
Yeah, this is also... there's links for GG Gaming Podcast. Yeah, just check the description.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Yeah. Alrighty, I guess that's it. Hopefully,
I'm
see
gonna
y'all
go
next
watch
week.
the collab.
You're gonna what? Oh yeah, I gotta check the collab. I'm definitely gonna put that link in there.
Listen to my ugly voice.
Your ugly
Voices can't-
voice. Oh, for some reason, yours are. Alright.
Anyway,
Bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye.
Ah.
Oh. Meow, meow.